At least 31 Palestinians killed near US-backed aid site. And also Ukraine launches drone assault destroying Russian bombers. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Brenda Paul. Egypt and Qatar expressed hope for a swift agreement on a 60-day temporary truce between Israel and Hamas that would pave the way for a permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. A joint statement urged all parties to take responsibility and support the efforts of mediators aimed at resolving the crisis in the Gaza Strip through restoring stability and calm to the region. The two countries added that they continue their intensive efforts to bring views closer and address contentious points with a view to reaching a ceasefire agreement in the Gaza Strip. This is based on a proposal of the United States President's envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, thereby enabling the resumption of indirect negotiations on the basis of this proposal. The statement added that this move would facilitate the resolution of the unprecedented humanitarian crisis in the region, enable the opening of border crossings, and allow the entry of humanitarian and relief aid to alleviate the suffering faced by the Palestinian people in Gaza. Cairo and Doha also noted this effort aims to bring an end to the war entirely and initiate the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip in accordance with the plan adopted by the Emergency Arab Summit held in Cairo on 4th March. Israel continues to block the entry of more than 3,000 health and trucks into Gaza. A senior health official said this situation worsening an already catastrophic humanitarian situation. Director General of Gaza's Health Ministry, Munir al-Burj, said hospitals in the enclave are facing catastrophic conditions due to a severe shortage of medicine and medical supplies. He said that the Israel authorities are blocking around 3,000 trucks carrying essential health equipment from entering Gaza from Egypt's Arish city. The occupation's ongoing ban on the entry of medicines and vaccines has contributed to the spread of infectious diseases and epidemics. He noted a sharp increase in cases of acute diarrhea, meningitis and other health crises in Gaza, exacerbated by a collapse in water security, with 90% of Gaza's population now suffering from a lack of access to safe water. Bush also criticized Israel's newly introduced aid distribution mechanism, describing it as a tool of, quote, mass killing and forced displacement. Meanwhile, Gaza's Civil Defense Agency said Israeli gunfire killed at least 31 Palestinians near a US-backed aid distribution site on Sunday. Civil Defense spokesman Mahmoud Basal told AFP that more than 176 injured after Israeli gunfire targeted thousands of civilians near the American Aid Center in Rafah. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation says it has distributed millions of meals since operations began last week. However, the rollout has been marked by chaotic scenes at a limited number of distribution centers, as well as reports of casualties from Israeli fire nearby. Israel recently eased its blockade and introduced a revamped aid mechanism in cooperation with a newly formed US-backed organization, bypassing the long-standing UN-led system. Israel has faced growing condemnation over the humanitarian crisis in the war-ravaged Gaza Strip, where the United Nations has warned the entire population faces the risks of famine after no aid was allowed to enter for more than 2 months. On a related matter, Israel's blocking of a visit by Arab diplomats to the occupied West Bank showed its rejection of a diplomatic path to peace. Ministers from Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan and Bahrain, along with the Arab League chief, had planned a trip to the Palestinian territory, but Israel said Friday that it would not cooperate, effectively blocking the trip as it controls the area's borders and airspace. Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan at a joint press conference in Amman with his Jordanian, Egyptian and Bahraini counterpart said Israel's action illustrates and confirms its extremism.
فقط أؤكد أن رفض إسرائيل لزيارة هذه اللجنة إلى الضفة مما اضطرنا لتأجيلها هو فقط تجسيد وتأكيد كما ذكرتم لتطرفها ولرفضها أي محاولات جدية لمسلك السلام ومسلك الدبلوماسية. واضح أنهم لا يريدون إلا العنف، وهذا يزيدنا عزيمة الحقيقة في مضاعفة جهودنا الدبلوماسية في المجتمع الدولي لمواجهة هذه العنجهية ولدحضها بإذن الله.
The minister said the Arab states would, however, continue to advocate for a two-state solution. The delegation was expected to meet with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, whose Palestinian Authority exercises limited control over parts of the West Bank. Had the visit gone ahead, the delegation's head, Prince Faisal, would have become the first Saudi foreign minister to visit the West Bank. Ukraine drones destroyed Russian bombers worth billions of dollars as far away as Siberia in its longest-range assault of the war, as it geared up for talks on prospects for a ceasefire. In a spectacular claim, Ukraine said it damaged $7 billion worth of Russian aircraft parked at 4 air bases thousands of kilometers across the border. A source in the Ukrainian Security Services SBU said the strikes hit 41 planes that were used to bomb Ukrainian villages. The long-planned operation came at a delicate moment 3 years into Russia's invasion. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he deployed 117 drones in a massive attack against Russian air bases that he called our most long-range operation in more than 3 years of war.
Дякую Службі безпеки, особисто генералу Малюку, також всім, хто був задіяний в операції. Готували операцію більш ніж 1,5 роки. Планування, організація, всі деталі були ідеально підготовлені. Можна сказати впевнено, що це абсолютно унікальна операція.
He added that 34% of the strategic cruise missile carriers at the airfields were hit. Russia has proposed a fresh round of talks in Istanbul on Monday, but Kyiv has thus far neither confirmed nor denied that it will be attending. China firmly rejects claims by the United States that it had violated a deal to lower crippling tariffs between the world's two largest economies. Beijing and Washington last month agreed to temporarily slash staggeringly high levies on each other for 90 days, after talks between top officials in Geneva. But U.S. Commerce Secretary said Beijing was slow-rolling the deal. Beijing hit back, saying Washington has made bogus charges and unreasonably accused China of violating the consensus, which is seriously contrary to the facts. The Commerce Ministry said China firmly rejects these unreasonable accusations. U.S. President Donald Trump said last week that China had totally violated the deal without providing details. But Beijing's Commerce Ministry said has been firm in safeguarding its rights and interests and sincere in implementing the consensus. The Malaysian Armed Forces MAF Starlight 3 team returned home after completing a 38-day humanitarian mission in Myanmar following a major earthquake there on 28 March. To Royal Malaysian Air Force, a 400 aircraft carrying 69 personnel comprising officers and personnel of various specializations landed at the Subang Air Base at 8:30 p.m. yesterday. The humanitarian mission was led by Colonel Dr. Ahmad Farhan Ahmad Fuad as the operations commander.
Kita berada di sana selama 45 hari, but operational wise kita berjaya beroperasi selama 38 hari straight lah dekat sana, dan along that way kita berjaya bantu orang-orang lokal Myanmar sebanyak 3,706 sakit, dan juga kita manage to do 305 pembedahan lah, kes-kes pembedahan.
The Operation Starlight 3 was a manifestation of the Malaysian government's concern and solidarity with the people of Myanmar affected by the 7.7 magnitude earthquake that struck Sagaing and 5 other regions, followed by a 6.4 magnitude aftershock that was also felt in neighboring countries, including Thailand. Still to come, at least 30 people perish in India's flash floods incident. Stay tuned. More of that later, but first, Sierra Leonean authorities have called for international help to curb the spread of Mpox in the country, as a new toll on Saturday showed the number of cases continuing to rise. A total of 3,350 cases have been recorded since January in the West African country, including 1,779 recoveries and 16 deaths. 4-day Sahar, director of the public agency in charge of combating the disease, said 20,000 vaccine doses were expected to arrive on Sunday, destined for high-risk contacts, including healthcare workers. A total of 42,872 healthcare workers on the front lines of the fight against the disease have been vaccinated so far. Mpox is caused by a virus from the same family as smallpox, manifesting itself in a high fever and skin lesions. First identified in the Democratic Republic of Congo in 1970, the disease had generally been confined to a dozen African countries before spreading more widely from 2022. The WHO declared its highest level of alert in 2024 over that outbreak. Several people were injured and some may have been set on fire at an outdoor mall in Boulder, Colorado. FBI Director Kash Patel said the agency was aware of the situation and is currently conducting a full investigation in what they called a targeted attack in Boulder. Police said a male suspect was taken into custody after an attack that injured multiple people. Boulder Police Chief Stephen Redfern said that the man was apprehended following calls to the police dispatch of someone with a weapon.
So I've been in contact with our local FBI multiple times. We are in contact with them here. We are not calling it a terror attack at this point. Again, it's way too early to speculate motive. A lot of witnesses were here. We've taken them to another location to debrief them and interview them. As we do that, I think the picture will become more clear. But it would be irresponsible for me to speculate on motive this early on. We're only a couple hours into this thing.
Redfern said he wasn't in a position to identify the suspect yet, noting that he'd been taken to the hospital. He said there were multiple injuries among the victims, ranging from very serious to minor injuries. The attack comes just weeks after a Chicago-born man was arrested in the fatal shooting of 2 Israeli embassy employees in Washington. Flash floods and landslides after torrential monsoon rain over the last 2 days killed at least 30 people in India's northeast. State disaster management officials said 8 people died in Assam and 9 in Arunachal Pradesh, many of them in landslides as earth loosened by the water slumped into the valley below. Another 5 people died in a landslide in the neighboring state of Mizoram. The officials said that 6 people lost their lives in Meghalaya and at least 2 others were killed in the states of Nagaland and Tripura. A red alert warning was issued for several districts in the region after the non-stop downpour over the last 3 days. Rivers swollen by the lashing rain, including the mighty Brahmaputra, which rises in the Himalayas and flows through India's northeast towards its delta in Bangladesh. The Indian Army said that it had saved hundreds in a massive rescue operation across Manipur state. People have been shifted to safer places and the food, water and essential medicines were provided. A ban on disposable vapes goes into effect across the UK on 1st June 2025 in a bid to protect children's health and tackle a throwaway culture. The Junior Environment Minister, Mary Cray, stated for an extended period, single-use vapes have tarnished streets as litter and hooked children on nicotine. The new crackdown makes it illegal to sell single-use vapes at corner shops and supermarkets, thus putting an end to their alarming rise in school playgrounds and the avalanche of rubbish flooding the nation's streets. Those caught flouting the ban will face a £200 sterling penalty, while repeat offenders risk up to 2 years in prison. Young people and children in particular have been attracted to cheap and colourful disposable vapes, which have snazzy flavours such as mint, chocolate, mango or watermelon, since they were introduced in the UK in 2021. In 2024, nearly 5 million disposable vapes were thrown away each week. Fire services have also warned about the risks of discarded vapes catching light among household rubbish. And in other news, the General Authority for the Care of the Affairs of the Grand Mosque and the Prophet's Mosque has activated the world's largest cooling system with a total capacity of 155,000 refrigeration tons. The cooling system aims to provide a comfort and spiritually uplifting environment for millions of pilgrims arriving from around the world as part of its intensive preparations for the Hajj season. The Grand Mosque is served by two main cooling stations, the Shamia station with a capacity of 120,000 tons and the Ajat station with 35,000 tons, both covering the extensive expansions and vast areas within the Grand Mosque. These systems maintain moderate temperatures ranging from 22 to 24 degrees Celsius, utilizing advanced air purification technologies that remove 95% of impurities to ensure ideal air quality for pilgrims. The authority also conducts proactive and continuous maintenance operations. This including spare parts replacements, worksite safety assurance, and efficient resource management to meet the high operational demands during the Hajj season. The authority emphasizes that these efforts are part of a comprehensive vision aimed at elevating the pilgrim experience and providing the highest levels of comfort. And moving on to sports, Terima clinched Singapore Open title. Stay tuned.
Sebuah program buang bicara berkonsepkan podcast.
Ramai atlet-atlet yang berjaya, dia bagus semua benda tapi dia tak hebat kepada sesuatu tu.
Perbincangan isu-isu semasa sukan tempatan dan antarabangsa. Ikuti diskusi santai bersama Mior Adalan, Nini Ibrahim dan Syairul Islam serta tetamu jemputan di studio. Sportcast setiap Jumaat 3.30 minit petang di saluran OK dan Sukan RTM.
And welcome back. Malaysia's national men's doubles pair Aaron Shah Sobuyik continued their impressive run this season when they won the Singapore Open title. The Malaysians came back from a set down to beat fifth seeds Kim Won-ho and Seo Song-jae of South Korea 15-21, 21-18, 21-19 in a 65-minute thriller at the Singapore Indoor Stadium. Adding to the sweetness of the win, the victory also ended Malaysia's 17-year drought in the men's doubles category at the Singapore Open since the last triumph by Muhammad Zakri Abdul Latif, Muhammad Fairuz Zizwan, Muhammad Tazari in the 2008 edition. They also managed to redeem their loss to the South Korean pair who eliminated them at the semi-final stage during in their Open campaign last January. This was their third title this year following their victories at the Badminton Asia Championships in April and the Thailand Open in May. The duo said their next focus would be the Indonesia Open, scheduled for 3rd to 8 June at Istora Senayan, Jakarta, where they are slated to take on Denmark's Rasmus Kjær and Frederik Sogo. And in football, Manchester United signed Brazil forward Matheus Cunha from Wolves in a deal worth a reported €62.5 million on Sunday. Cunha is expected to pen a 5-year contract with the Old Trafford club, who have the option of extending the deal by a further 12 months. The 26-year-old was in Manchester over the weekend to put the finishing touches to his move, which is subject to a visa and registration. Cunha, who has won 13 caps for Brazil, scored 18 goals in all competitions for Wolves this season, winning the club's Player of the Year award. The Brazilian finishes Wolves' career with 33 goals in 92 appearances in all competitions after signing from Atletico Madrid in January 2023. United activated the release clause in Cunha's Wolves contract to ensure he becomes boss Ruben Amorim's first signing of the summer transfer window. Wolves said the deal was a club record fee received as they thank Cunha for his contributions in all goal, in a statement confirming his departure. Formula One Championship leader Oscar Piastri won the Spanish Grand Prix from pole position in a McLaren 1-2 on Sunday to forge 10 points clear of teammate Lando Norris in the title battle. The Australian's win by 2.4 seconds was his fifth in 9 races this season and McLaren's 7th. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc completed the podium after passing Max Verstappen's Red Bull 6 laps from the end following a safety car period with the champion demoted from 5th to 10th. Verstappen, who made 4 stops in total and ended up on the slower hard tyres against rivals on softs, collided with Leclerc and twice with Mercedes' George Russell after a safety car restart. The angry Dutch driver was given a 10-second penalty added to his overall time for the second Russell collision that was clearly his fault. He and Leclerc also face a post-race investigation for their clash that could lead to further sanctions. Russell finished 4th after eventually being led through by Verstappen, who reluctantly did as his team told him. Sauber's Nico Hülkenberg finished a surprising and morale-boosting 5th for the future Audi team after passing Ferrari's 7 times world champion Lewis Hamilton on the penultimate lap. Hamilton was a disappointing 6th. Isaac Hadjar 7th for Racing Bulls and Pierre Gasly 8th for Renault-owned Alpine. Home hero Fernando Alonso scored his first points of the season with Aston Martin, who had only one car on the grid, due to Lance Stroll's withdrawal through injury after Saturday's qualifying. And in tennis, Carlos Alcaraz fought past American Ben Shelton in a tight 4-set match to reach the French Open quarterfinals on Sunday. Reigning champion Alcaraz clinched a 7-6, 6-3, 4-6, 6-4 victory after 3 hours and 19 minutes on court Philippe Chatrier to book a last 8 berth for a 4th straight year. Rybakina and keep her bid for a 4th straight title alive. 4-time Roland Garros champion Swiatek, who has been struggling for her best form and has not reached the final since winning the title last year, was in serious trouble when trailing 2-love to Rybakina in the second set. But the 24-year-old dug deep to clinch a 1-6, 6-3, 7-5 victory. Swiatek is aiming to become the first woman to win. And on to cycling, Simon Yates won the 2025 Giro d'Italia on Sunday to claim his second Grand Tour victory, having effectively sealed the title a day earlier when he snatched the pink jersey from Isaac Del Toro. Yates and other riders received blessings from Pope Leo at the Vatican before the Briton cruised to the finish in Rome on the final stage, which was won by teammate Olaf Koe in a sprint finish. Yates, riding in all pink on a pink bike, also became the first rider since Alberto Contado in 2015 to win the Giro without claiming victory on any of the stages. After riding 3,300 km through Italy, Albania and Slovenia, the final stage was a 143 km ride starting and finishing in Rome, including 8 laps of a 9.5 km long circuit in the Eternal City. As the riders cycled past Rome's landmarks like the Colosseum, a 6-man breakaway went 24 seconds ahead of the pink jersey group with less than 50 km to go. But by the time they had 1 lap left, 4 riders were dropped, with only Josef Černý and Enzo Paleni left in the lead. Černý then dropped Paleni to attempt a solo ride to the finish, but he was quickly reeled in with 6 kilometers left. On the final kilometer, Koe surged ahead to take the victory in his second after winning stage 12. Koe finished ahead of Caden Groves and Matteo Moschetti. In athletics, U.S. sprinter Melissa Jefferson-Wooden clocked a world-leading 10.73 seconds as she stormed to an emphatic victory in the 100-meter at the Philadelphia Grand Slam track meeting on Sunday. The 24-year-old from South Carolina, a bronze medalist in the 100 meter at the Paris Olympics last year, scotched home ahead of Tamari Davis, who was second in 11.03 seconds. Thelma Davis was third in 11.14 seconds, while Olympic 200 meter gold medalist Gabby Thomas, beaten by Jefferson Wooden in Saturday's 200 meter, was fourth. Jefferson Wooden's time vaults her into elite company as one of the 10 fastest women over 100 meter in history. Jefferson Wooden's time was only fractionally outside Julian Alfred's winning time in the 100 meter at the Olympic last year, and suggests the American will be one of the favorites for gold at this year's World Championships in Tokyo.
Dua kuasa Asia Tenggara kini bakal berdepan. Amukan Harimau Melaya menanti untuk menggegar dengan 11 pejuang kini bersedia bagi memburu ruang ke kejohanan bola sepak terbesar Asia. Kelayakan Piala Asia AFC 2027 Malaysia bertemu Vietnam Selasa 10 Jun 8.30 malam di saluran OK dan sukan RTM, juga di RTM Click.
That wraps up our bulletin this afternoon. In our top story today, at least 31 Palestinians killed by Israeli forces near US-backed aid site. Do join us again tonight at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 or saluran Berita RTM for more. Alternatively, you can also stream us online on RTM Click's website and mobile application. Till then, I'm Brenda Paul from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Thank you for watching. Take care.